The Rav delivered ongoing shurim classes to laymen at the Morah synagogue in New York. What memory sticks out from the shurim, the classes in Morah, which is called the miracle of a Shoah survivor?
The story I'm about to tell you is really, I believe, remarkable at a number of levels. It's heartwarming. It accentuates the fire, the warmth of the Rav underneath that brisk intellectual acuity, seemingly dry and desiccated nature. In the course of my attending shurim in the Morah synagogue in Manhattan for probably close to a period more than a decade, I was seated next to a European gentleman of Polish origin. He was a devoted attendee of the shiur. He came regularly, but the shiur was a Blat Gemara shiur, and there were about 500 attendees, all with Gemaras. He was the only one without a Gemara. He wore a very small kippah and had a huge clump of whitish hair on both corners of his head. I was always puzzled by his presence at the shiur, but I noticed his unbelievable focus and concentration. When I told him after many years I was moving to a different venue outside New York City, he invited me after the shiur for a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, tea, in a bistro on the Lower West Side of Manhattan, so I should hear his life story. His life story that he shared with me was both tragic, but at the same time, enthralling. He studied as a young man in the Polish cheder. And when the Nazi scourge came, Yamach Shema B'zichron, he was miraculously able to escape Europe, but unfortunately, his entire family, wife and children, were killed by the Nazis, Yamach Shema. He decided as a result of that tragedy that clearly God is dead, and he abandoned all his ties to his Orthodox Jewish heritage. However, he described himself to me, and I saw that in the course of the years that I sat next to him. He had an absolutely impeccably beautiful, eloquent Yiddish. That to me was so singular about his personality. And he described himself as a maskil, an enlightened kind of person who had absorbed the love of the Yiddish language and its allied literature. In the course of his meanderings in New York after the war, when he was able to come to the United States, he heard there was a lecture given in New York by someone that was called a Nightingale. Nightingale is a translation of Soloveitchik. He then proceeded, okay, let me go and hear this lecture of the Nightingale. And he proceeded to attend, realized it was a Blat Gemara shiur, which he had no interest in whatsoever, but was immediately captivated by the mellifluity of the speaker in Yiddish, who turned out to be none other than the Rav Soloveitchik Zatzal. He fell in love with the eloquence of the Rav, with his impassioned presentation. After a while, he approached the Rav. He shared with him his tragic personal odyssey. And from that juncture, from that time on, the Rav spent enormous amounts of time with him, befriending him, strengthening him, until he completely returned to his Orthodox Jewish upbringing and became a devout Torah Jew. When I asked him, what was the spark that brought him back to Yiddishkeit, to Judaism? And he answered with tears, Der Klang from Rabbi Sheber's Yiddish, the dulcet and melodious tones of Rav Soloveitchik's Yiddish. I continue ad hayom hazeh to marvel at the array of spiritual armaments and weaponry that the Rav harnessed to galvanize and excite the heartstrings of masses of Jews. Many years ago, in a short essay penned in Jewish Life magazine, that was the forerunner of Jewish Action magazine of the OU. So Rav Soloveitchik described and defined the Yiddish language as Tashmishe Kedusha, an accessory of sanctity that the Gemara has in Masechet Megillah. When I heard this Polish Jew share his life story, I saw that even the medium of the shiur, namely the Yiddish language and the warmth of expression, became a powerful dynamic instrument in the hands of this maestro, namely the Rav Zecher Tzadik Livracha.